Today on Your Daily Detroit.
A new robocall is spreading lies about mail-in voting to Detroiters.
Several real estate developments are pressing ahead.
And there's a huge new mural to be installed on the side of a very visible building in Detroit. I talked with the artist, Sydney G. James, about the art and message that's in store for Chroma. From a windy and stormy North End in the beautiful city of Detroit, I'm Jer Stays.
And from Ferndale, I'm Sven Gustafson. It's Thursday, August 27th, 2020. Hot and steamy out there with these intermittent thunderstorms. Quick reminder before we get started that we are people-powered. It's our listeners who provide a big part of our revenue and allow us to be fiercely independent. The more we can raise, the more we can do. So join us and become a member at patreon.com/dailydetroit. That's patreon.com/dailydetroit. Let's just get right into the show, shall we?
More signs of efforts to suppress voting as a far-right conspiracy organization, Project 1599, is allegedly targeting Detroiters with robocalls full of lies. Michigan Secretary of State Jocelyn Benson is sending the warnings out after her office got wind of the racially charged automated phone call aimed at deterring people from voting by mail. The call falsely, and I will repeat falsely, says that if you vote by mail, your personal information will be part of a public database that will be used to track down old warrants, and that the information can be used to collect old credit card debts. It also makes the false claim that the CDC is planning to track people for mandatory vaccines with mail-in voting. We will not play the call because we do not want to amplify the message. The call recording claims that it's Project 1599, and if it was that group, it claims to be a civil rights organization and founded by conspiracy theorist Jacob Wohl and GOP lobbyist Jack Berkman. Wohl in 2017 had to pay more than $32,000 in fines to the state of Arizona for securities fraud. He's currently awaiting settlement negotiations after the state of California issued a felony warrant for an allegedly illicit stock sale. Wohl has been party to multiple attempts to frame public figures for sexual assaults and affairs and is a vehement supporter of President Donald J. Trump. Secretary of State Benson said that Attorney General Dana Nessel will use, quote, every tool to seek justice, unquote. Officials are asking people to report questionable or intimidating calls to elections at michigan.gov.
Jared, this is really dispiriting news, and I think as Secretary of State Benson even says, we can probably expect more of the same in, the months leading up to the November 3rd general election. And there's been so much precedent for this already, frankly. I mean, we've got a president in office who is claiming without a shred of evidence that mail-in voting is this huge recipe for fraud and is going to is going to open us up to being hacked by our foreign adversaries. Not that it bothered him 4 years ago, but whatever. It just feels like we are waging a fight against people who really want to undermine the nation's belief in the fairness and safety of elections themselves. I mean, we know that more people are going to be issuing ballots by mail, than before. Other than that, there's no difference between this election and any other one in terms of just straight up process. We've been running elections in this country for hundreds of years, but the difference is now we've got a president who seems hell-bent on undermining it at every step. This is getting frightening.
Well, I'm just going to be honest with you, Sven. I don't like talking about these stories because I really wish that this was a conversation about ideas. I wish that this was a conversation about tax policy or something like that actually benefited
climate change
people.
Or whatever, yeah.
Right. There's a million other topics. But to me, this is a national story, but is a national story with extremely local implications. Detroit voters have been disenfranchised. Black voters have been disenfranchised for many, many years. And to me, if the focus isn't your ideas, but about lowering voter turnout, and I do not care which party it is, I don't think your ideas are very valid. I find voter suppression and intimidation morally bankrupt behavior. It's gross. People want to bring back Jim Crow. That's just what it is. This is a city that is 80% black. We have to talk about it straight up.
And heavily Democratic, it's worth pointing out as well. I mean, if you suppress the vote in Michigan, if you're on the Republican side, if you suppress the vote in Detroit, the better your chances of your guy winning.
Oh, absolutely. Look, and 2020 sucks. And the reality is now we have to all get out and vote and save democracy from crap, because that's just how it is. I will promise you that we will have more information on how to vote, how to do it safely, volunteering for the polls, all that kind of stuff. We actually have additional folks working on some packages around that. So I'm pretty excited about that.
In related news, wanted to let you know that on Wednesday, an appeals court judge ruled that Secretary of State Benson was within her rights when it came to sending out 7.7 million absentee ballot applications earlier this year. Opponents who had sued, including Republicans and groups funded by Republicans, said that unsolicited absentee applications were propaganda. Judge Cynthia Stevens said that argument was not persuasive.
All right, we're going to do a little roundup of developments to know about in Detroit. The pandemic continues, but so does construction in the Motor City. First up is a $36 million plus project in Detroit's Sugar Hill Arts District that broke ground this week, one of the last projects designed by noted Black architect, the late Phil Freeland. It's at the northwest corner of John R. and Garfield across from the VA Medical Center. With 68 apartments, nearly 12,000 square feet of retail, and 164 parking spaces, it is sizable, and it will include outdoor green space that connects with the Green Alley plans of Midtown Detroit, Inc. 14 of the apartments will be set aside as affordable housing for those making between 30 and 60% of the average median income in the region. The project is a collaboration of the City of Detroit's Housing and Revitalization Department, Preservation of Affordable Housing, and Develop Detroit. It required at least 10 funding sources, according to press materials. Develop Detroit is a Detroit-based Black-owned firm.
The next project involves breathing new life into the former Lincoln Motor Company headquarters. And Jer, I confess that TIL, I learned Lincoln headquarters was once a thing, and I'm ashamed to admit that because I formerly lived about a mile south of there, and I had no idea. Anyway, this one's put together by people involved with the Lincoln Street Art Park and Recycle Here, Matt Naimi and filmmaker Oren Goldberg. Life is a Dream Detroit will redevelop nearly 4 acres via a nearly $20 million investment. There will be shops, art studios, venue space, and 81 residential units. The rental housing will be affordable with a focus on recycling and sustainability, with the close partnership with Recycle Here, a well-loved recycling center that has served the city for years, as well as the nonprofit Green Living Science. It's located in the Elijah McCoy neighborhood, just south of Henry Ford Hospital. Funding comes in part through the Michigan Community Revitalization Program loans, and the City of Detroit Brownfield Redevelopment Authority received approval of nearly $1.3 million to help with the remediation on the site.
And to round out the trifecta, the former Park Avenue House apartments are now becoming a 172-room Tapestry Hilton hotel. It's a $50 million deal that got about $2.5 million in brownfield tax incentives. The building was low-income housing. Last year, the City of Detroit helped with the relocation of tenants before the previous owner sold with 30 days warning to residents, at a cost of $400,000 to the city. The owner is Downtown Hospitality Detroit LLC, and Detroit-based Kramer Design Group is the architect. The soon-to-be Tapestry Hilton will be at 2035 Park Avenue. That's near the stadiums, and the boutique hotel is expected to be complete in 2023.
So nice of everybody involved in this one to, give the low-income tenants 30 days warning to, basically you got to get out, and then stick the city with the bill of, helping them find new housing. I mean, look, a lot of people will point out hey, how can you criticize new development in Detroit, right? But this is different. It's one thing if you're building in an area of the city where there literally was nothing, but this is something different. This is like the textbook definition of gentrification. The previous owner of this handled this really terribly. The fact that it cost the city, all this money to relocate people, man, it's just ugly.
Joining me on the line is fine artist and muralist Sydney G. James. Thank you so much for your time on Daily Detroit today. It's good to talk to you.
Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. So I'm excited to talk to you about this project that's happening at a development called Chroma. It's a very visible wall on East Grand Boulevard, just east of Woodward. For a long time, there was a mural that is recognizable to a lot of folks just because they go through the city. But there is a new look happening with what's happening. Sydney, I've seen some of these previews of it. It's very, very stunning. What's your inspiration for this project?
So the inspiration is actually the girl with the pearl earring, the Dutch painting. The classic Dutch painting is actually deemed the most beautiful painting in the Netherlands. And oftentimes in my work, especially my murals, I use recognizable compositions. Like, for instance, like my first mural for Murals in the Market, I mimicked the Death Row Vibe magazine cover for the composition. And I did the same with an album cover out in Hawaii for a mural. So with this one, I'm thinking, okay, I know it's going to be visible. What do I want to do? I know I want to feature a Black woman. How do I want to show her? And so I often look at, through art books and such and all of that. And when I came back across, the girl with the pearl earring, I was like, oh, I'm going to make it the girl with the D earring, because I have a great pair of bright pink neon Old English D earrings that was gifted to me last year by the maker. Her name is Yolanda Michelle. And they're my favorite earrings to wear because I'm such a Detroit human being. Like, I represent my city, just, how I strut the streets of wherever I am. But I love representing my city with the D earrings. And I don't even like pink, but I swear to God, they are my favorite earrings. And it's always a conversation starter. So I'm like, oh, I'm going to mimic the pearl earring, but I'm going to put a big old D earring and give her all of this Detroit style, pay homage to the North End, because she'll be wearing like a army type jacket with patches on it. But the patches would have the logos of some businesses that are no longer there and other businesses that have been revamped, but the same title, that was, possibly passed down through the family. Like the Red Jazz Shoe Shine business will be highlighted on there. I might throw a nod to, Underground Resistance, Apex, Spar, like all of those classic things that made really the North End the North End.
Well, and the North End has so much history behind it with
so much history.
Yeah, variety of communities. I mean, it's extremely nerdy piece of history, but less than 50 yards from where I'm recording this was actually the childhood home of Behind the Actors studio host James Lipton, of all things.
Really?
Yeah, he grew up in the North End.
See?
This is all kinds of people. It's kind of crazy. But, and that's one of the reasons I enjoy this neighborhood so much is that it's actually a neighborhood. Like, everybody knows each other. They get involved in what's happening. And, I also really appreciate the boldness of the piece. Like, it seems like you're clearly communicating a message about the space and the city that we're in.
Yeah, so that was my goal, to make it super Detroit, also pay homage to the North End, but also recognize what the building is called. It's called the Chroma Building. So when you think of Chroma, you think of bright colors, not just colors, because of course Chroma is all colors. But if you really want to say chroma, you got to give them neon. And typically neons aren't my practice, but I found a creative way to make it still share the same aesthetic of my other pieces, but also like really shout and scream chroma from blocks and blocks and blocks away if you're viewing it. So that's what I'm really excited. Like, I'm excited about this whole piece. I can't wait to paint it.
So how long is this, are you expecting that this is going to take you? I understand that we are recording this on a Wednesday, that work on the site has begun from a prep point of view, but how long is your portion of this going to be, and when do you think you're going to be wrapped up?
So I'll have a team of 6 people. I have 2 artists here, Backpack Durden, Ijana Cortez, but then I also have my artist friend Max Sansing coming in from Chicago with his paint assistant, Derek Ware, and another, because the timeline got a little bit pushed back further than I expected, I'm actually bringing up another artist friend, Birdcat from Memphis. So, and to answer your question, I reckon 3 to 4 days.
Oh, wow. That is some speed.
Oh, yeah. We're gonna knock this bad boy out. It's going to be beautiful.
That is exciting. I mean, it's so large. I imagine people will be able to watch it go up.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
You know, there's all kinds of space around that. You've got the streets, there's sidewalks there, and I'm going to take my dog down and definitely check this out.
Oh, yeah, definitely come check it out. It's going to be fun.
I would also mention there's a couple of places to patronize right around the corner. Before we were recording, I mentioned that I'm a regular over at the Milwaukee Cafe, so you can pick up yourself a little latte or something.
Oh, yeah.
And enjoy the art coming together, which is pretty exciting. So how did you get involved in this project? How did this connect and come together for you?
I resurrected a Malice Green monumental mural in June. It was maybe the second week of June. It was after the George Floyd murder. An article resurfaced about the Malice Green case. And at the end of the article, it spoke about the original Malice Green mural. I didn't realize the mural was no longer here because against community's wishes, they had the mural destroyed. That's what gave me the push, oh, I need to do a Malice Green mural, but I also have to embody all of these other tragedies. But after I completed that mural, I had a memorial event, and that mural got a lot of press. It was painted very well. I had a good team help me out with that as well. Peter Cummings, a platform, called me June 20th, and he asked me if I would like to paint this wall. Because I believe, prior to George Floyd's murder and really that string of murders that had happened, because you got to think, it was Ahmaud first, and Breonna Taylor, and Tony McDade, and all of these too many in between. And I think initially he had another plan for the wall, but after all of those things, it gave him a spark to go in a different direction. I'm honored that he chose me. And I'm sure he didn't even know what I was going to do. You know what I mean? But I'm happy that he trusted me to create something beautiful for his space.
One of the things that I like about it from a personal perspective, I, as a longtime city resident, feel like there aren't enough public artworks that reflect the people who live here. There's lots of stuff for, generals and people who used to own slaves and all kinds of stuff.
Yes.
Where is our statuary, our murals and things for the folks who live here? Not that, everything of old needs to be torn down. I mean, there are some folks, that did make legitimate contributions to history, but the fact is that the other parts are completely absent. And so, that's one of the reasons when I first saw that you were doing the piece and then I saw the rendering in my email and I was like, wow, this is going to say something.
I love it. I love the wow in your email. That makes me feel good. And that is an issue with art in general, though. That's why many people don't go to museums. And that's not even just an inner city thing. That's a rural place thing, too. Those people don't get art and art experiences either. You know what I'm saying? The work in museums doesn't reflect that life either. Life on a farm. You know what I mean? Where you might not even have a gallery in your town.
That's true. That's true. Because, art brings people together and it really opens up horizons. And part of great art, I think it encapsulates a variety of perspectives. Because if it's just one perspective and that's the only thing you see and the only art you ever see,
you don't think it belongs to you. You don't think it's for you.
Right. And I can't tell you how many times over the years of people of all kinds of backgrounds saying, well, why do you like the art museum? It's not, and for me, I mean, cards on table, as I was saying before, my dad was a muralist.
Right.
So to me, art was always around, but it gave me early on in my adult life, I started to have a realization of art is beautiful and art is beautiful from many different vantage points. And we need to include more vantage points. Otherwise, the story is very monotone and that is also historically inaccurate.
Man, we got a long road, don't we?
We do, but we're making steps, right?
We are making steps and they're beautiful steps. There are some ugly steps, but it's beautiful steps.
There are beautiful steps, including a multi-story one that you are painting.
Woo, yeah, I can't wait.
All right. Well, thank you so much for your time today. I really appreciate you. And when do you think you're going to start the paint work on this so people can check it out?
We are scheduled to start September 2nd.
All right. Before we let you go today, we wanted to share an update about the Piet Oudolf Garden on Belle Isle. Between COVID and flooding issues that meant a redesign of the garden to raise it up, the schedule has been knocked back. but we received word that nearly 26,000 plants will go into the ground beginning today through next Friday, with a day off on Monday for the planned Coronavirus Detroit Memorial. Next year, the rain garden will be planted, and there will be an official opening of this historic garden. I am excited about it. It is something to look forward to in 2021. Sven, I think we should go check in on them next week. Take folks with us. Maybe do like a Facebook live stream or something. Do something out on the island. It might be good to get out.
For sure. It sounds nice to get over to Belle Isle. I am glad that this is finally seeing the light of day. I mean, definitely something to look forward to, and we need all that we can get in terms of things to look forward to, for sure. I was disappointed that originally they were going to put out the call for volunteers to help with planting, but the flooding, the high water levels on the Great Lakes kind of took care of that. That site sat flooded. Correct me if I'm wrong, I think they were originally targeting like a year ago to start planting.
Yeah, something like that, because they were in the studio for a conversation a while ago. This project has taken a while to come to fruition.
Yeah, and I have been over to Belle Isle and seen from a distance and kind of read up a couple times on what they've been doing. It's been an awful lot of work to get the site literally built up, like elevated, so that it's not as prone to flooding. Because the last I saw the Peace Carillon over there, that site was kind of an island almost from surface flood.
Have you seen the overhead videos?
Yeah,
they're
totally
crazy. It literally looks like the Carillon's just, at one point it looked like the Carillon was literally just sticking out of the lake. This is going to be a huge asset for the city. Piet Oudolf, of course, did work on the High Line in New York City, the Lurie Gardens in Chicago. He's a world famous landscape architect. I think it's going to be a real jewel for the city. And that is all for your Thursday show. Thanks so much for listening to Your Daily Detroit. If you have feedback, leave a voicemail at 313-789-3211. That's 313-789-3211. Virtual operators are standing by, including Randy alone with his red stapler. Coming attractions in future episodes include a conversation with the owner of Marvin's Marvelous Mechanical Museum, Jeremy Yagoda. I had to throw it in there, Sven. I couldn't help myself. Marvelous! A virtual charcuterie tasting with Monger's Provisions. Sven, I know you enjoyed that. I engineered that one. And you and engineer Randy were just big old smiles across your faces.
Give me a nice cheese and crackers, and I'm a happy man any day.
And we talk about a local group that encourages you to make food, not waste, which is something close to your heart too, Sven. I know you're a clean eater.
All these things close to my heart, Jer.
Very much so. And of course, we will update you on what you need to know around town. With that, I'm Jer Stays. Thanks for listening.
And I'm Sven Gustafson. Take care of each other, everybody. We'll get through this thing together.